dark web story, Showtime by C.J. Quinn. A dim light flickered on and off as it radiated, bringing life to a dark, damp room in an unknown location. The room, looking like a hoarder's paradise, filled with barrels, empty stained cages, and rustic tools scattered around what looked to be a filth-ridden workshop. No windows graced the room, no natural light able to enter and fight the darkness, just the flickering dim orange glow that brought life to the disease-filled room. The eerie silence of the room was finally broken by the faint sound of a woman's cry. In the center of the room, a beaten, circular table lay as a young woman sat on the opposite side, half naked, tied to a rotting chair, her body covered deep in cuts, her skin consumed by a mixture of fresh and old bruises as she sat there shaking from head to toe. Her skin as pale as a ghost as fear poured out of her body through beads of sweat, unable to scream, with her mouth gagged by a dirty old rag. Scared and alone, her eyes began to widen as she visibly became shaken by the daunting sound of heavy footsteps closing in on her, urged behind a white, blood-stained sheet that hung behind the woman. As the footsteps came to a stop, the haunting silhouette stood towering behind her, motionless. The woman closing her eyes as if she hoped to wake up from this intimidating nightmare. The filth-ridden sheet suddenly ripped open, revealing the terrifying figure the woman feared so much, as the sight of a half-naked man covered in haunting clown-smeared makeup and what looked to be dirt-stained oil marks all over his hairy, overweight torso. He approached the woman as he menacingly towered over her.
"What are you crying for?"
the clown said in a disturbing, distorted voice.
"It's showtime now, and all the fans are watching."
He laughed aloud as he walked past the woman, stroking the side of her face with his sweaty hand, instantly causing the woman to squirm, tears rolling down her cheeks. Trying to avoid contact with the repulsive stranger, the clown turned, grabbing her hair, pulling her head to the side as he pointed his finger in her face with malicious intent.
"Listen to me. Don't you dare be a naughty girl. You'll ruin the show."
The distorted voice spat with venom. Letting her go, he pulled up a chair sitting next to the distressed woman, facing the same way she was, both now facing a camera as he once again grabbed her hair, holding her head back so her terror-filled eyes could be seen.
"Now that's a good girl. Say hello to everyone."
The clown chuckled as he waved at the camera.
"Welcome back to the show. I know you've all been waiting, but the votes are finally now in,"
he said as if acknowledging a crowd. Reaching his hand out, he peeled back a dirty white cloth covering a table, slowly revealing its hidden contents of what appeared to be a two-pronged meat carver and a rusted metal plate. The clown proceeded to pick up the carver, slowly digging the prongs into the table surface, twisting it as it chipped away at the wood, showing how sharp it actually was. He pulled it back out as he began to wave it at the camera, staring at the woman menacingly, the woman closing her eyes, looking away, helpless in fear.
"With the votes counted on what to do with this silly bitch next, well, we had a clear winner,"
the clown chuckled.
"The winner was choose a body part to eat. And oh, I know just my favorite part,"
the clown said as he rested his face on the woman's cheek, slowly rubbing his paint-smeared face across her tear-soaked cheek. He smiled as he turned, kissing the side of her face as she tried to resist his repulsive actions.
"And I won't keep you waiting any longer, ladies and gentlemen,"
he said. His sinister laugh echoed around the dingy workshop as he stood up. He pulled the woman's head back as he began to clamp open her eye with his fingers as his dirt-ridden nails dug into her eyelids. The woman's haunting scream echoed aloud as she feared what was next.
Look at that pretty green eye. It looks so good, so juicy,
he calmly said, raising the pronged carver, and without a moment's hesitation, he slowly pierced its sharp tip through the woman's eye. Her body convulsing as she squirmed in agony, the blood gushing down the side of her face like a fountain. The clown twisted the carver as the unbearable pain could be heard in the woman's haunting screams, his fingers clamping down on the eyeball as he pulled it from its socket, placing it down on the rusted metal plate, the woman's head flopping to the side as she seemingly passed out from the agonizing pain.
There you go, people. A tasty treat. I think I'll save that for later,
the clown bellowed as he basked in his sinister actions. Walking out of sight, the clown slowly reemerged as he dragged into view a large wooden chest. Unlocking the chest, he pulled open the lid to reveal a large space filled with barbed wire. Turning his attention back to the injured woman, he began to cut off the ropes tying the woman to the chair. Picking her up over his shoulder, he turned as he flung her into the chest, slamming the lid down on her.
Now, once she has a rest, the next poll will soon be open for what I take next. I look forward to hearing from you all,
the clown said, staring deep into the camera, breathing heavily as the sound suddenly becomes distorted, the clown freezing in motion as crackled lines distort his image. The sight of a pause button appears on a screen. A laptop lay perched on the center of a table, revealing what was in fact footage of the horrific scenes and not live. The same clown from the video sat across from the laptop, handcuffed to the table, despicably smiling at what he'd just watched. Opposite him sat a disgruntled detective as he leant forward and closed the laptop, staring across the table at the clown with a hardened expression etched across his face. "You are one sick fuck," the detective said calmly. The detective pulled a set of files toward him as he opened it up to reveal an image of the poor woman seen in the video. "Lucy Kim, the victim from your sick stream. We found her body mutilated, along with 3 other unidentified remains," the detective said through gritted teeth as his eyes glared at the clown.
3?
The clown muttered, looking confused.
Huh, is that all? I must have done a real good job on the others then.
The clown chuckled with no remorse. The detective froze, placing his pen down and closing the files as he stared the clown dead in the eyes. "Well, it's over for you now. The game's up and you're gonna get all that you deserve. We will find those victims, and you will pay for every single one of them," an angered tone breaking from the detective's voice. The clown sat back, slouching in his chair, looking to the ceiling as he began to chuckle to himself.
You just don't get it, do you, detective?
The clown questioned.
You really think I'm the only one out there?
His eyes falling back onto the detective's as he met his gaze, the smile dropping from his face as a serious tone matched his intimidating expression.
You see, there's more out there, just like me, and they'll carry on my work. You see, the show must go on, detective. And guess what? You've dug too deep this time. You don't know what you've opened the door to.
The clown spat as he shuffled in his seat, leaning closer to the detective.
As soon as you start searching for us, all the hard work tracking me, hunting me down, well...
A sinister smile crept from the corner of the clown's mouth as he looked the detective in the eyes.
You became visible to us, Mr. Alex O'Neill,
he said sinisterly. Alex, taken back by the clown muttering his name, looked confused but tried to keep his composure as anger crept into his voice. How do you know my name? Did you hear another officer saying it? Alex quipped with a smile, trying to rationalize the fact that the clown knew his full name.
Oh, if that was only the case, detective. But when you dove deep into our world, desperately trying to track us down to find us, well, you became visible. And now I know all about you.
the clown calmly confessed as Alex's face couldn't hide the uncomfortable feeling building up inside of him.
A married man. To your childhood sweetheart. One beautiful daughter, now 11. Hey, how was Sarah's last soccer game, by the way?
He continued, the stone-cold stare accompanying the chilling words hit Alex like a bus as he stood furiously, his chair flying back as he pushed the table. He stormed to the door, pounding it with his balled fist as two officers stepped in. "Get this crazy fuck out of my sight," Alex demanded, clearly rattled by the clown's chilling details into his life.
What's wrong, detective? Did I upset you? Does the truth scare you?
The two officers grappled the clown as he resisted their attempts to escort him from the room.
Get home safe, Alex. I'm sure we'll be seeing you soon.
The intimidating voice of the clown bellowed as he smiled at Alex. The only thing you'll be seeing is the inside of the cell you'll be spending the rest of your life in, Alex said with hate in his voice as he stepped towards the clown, staring dead in his eyes. The officers pushed the clown out of the room as they escorted him down the hallway. Alex rubbed his eyes, the darkened bags underneath telling their own story. Clearly, Alex had not slept for days. He closed the files on the desk as he stared at the laptop, his finger unable to resist pressing play as he watched the macabre footage one more time, trying to gain more answers while he sat alone with his own thoughts. The moonlight filled the sky above as the darkened cloud consumed the frosty night, as if a storm brewed in the distance, preparing itself to strike. A car pulled slowly into the driveway, the headlamps lighting up the house as the purring engine faded into silence. Darkness returned as the glowing light from the headlamps retreated. The car door creaked open as Alex stepped out, his tired eyes perked up, happy to finally be home. Shutting the car door, Alex turned about to begin his walk up the driveway, not before stopping in his tracks as something down the street caught his attention. Taking another glance, Alex stopped as he turned back, looking down the street as his eyes fell upon a dark hooded figure standing under a streetlight as they seemingly stared back his way, motionless. Alex slowly walked back down the drive, trying to get a better look at the mysterious person that had gained his attention. "Hey, everything okay?" Alex called. The sound of a front door unlocking diverted Alex's attention from the mysterious person. "Daddy?" The sound of an excited young girl shouted. As Alex turned, he saw the front door open and the sight of his daughter, Sarah, running towards him. "Daddy's home," she said with excitement as she latched onto Alex, hugging him. "Hey, beautiful." Alex picked her up as he looked back down the street, his eyes searching for the figure, but now only falling upon an empty street. The mysterious figure gone as if vanishing into thin air, staring, trying to figure out where the person went. Alex finally diverted his gaze as his daughter gained his full attention as he carried her back up the drive. As Alex climbed the steps of the porch, he was greeted by the sight of his wife, Claire, standing in the doorway. "Hey, babe," he said, kissing her on the cheek as he walked through the door with Sarah. "You're late. I was worried," a concerned tone in Claire's voice. "I know, sorry I didn't call. We finally got him. I did it, babe. All those months of tracking the fucker down, and I was right," Alex blurted with excitement in his voice. "This guy's never going to see the light of day again," he said with a proud, confident smile on his face. "That's great," Claire said, hugging Alex. "Are you finally off the case then? It was kind of worrying me seeing how deep you were getting," Claire said with a tone of concerned wife as she put her arms over Alex's shoulder, kissing him on the cheek. Alex looked back at his wife, a smile spread across his face as he looked into her eyes. As he was about to speak, a hand grasped his sleeve and began to tug on his arm. "Can you read me a bedtime story, Daddy?" the cute, innocent voice of Sarah said as she looked up at Alex. "Of course I can. How about I take you upstairs and tuck you in and you can choose the story?" Alex picked up Sarah as he stood there for a moment, admiring his family. "I'll put her to bed, then I'll come down and I'll tell you everything over a drink." Alex smiled at Claire as he turned for the stairs, listening intently to Sarah talk about her day. Claire watched as they climbed the stairs as she couldn't help but smile. The thought of finally having her husband back and off the case that had consumed him and their family filled her with relief and happiness. She locked the front door as they all settled in for the night. The thunder roared through the night sky as the heavens rained down, battering the soiled earth beneath it. The sound of raindrops pelted the windows as they echoed through the bedroom where Alex lay fast asleep. Unbeknownst to Alex, a flash of light lit up his face, causing him to stir in his slumber as he rolled over with an outstretched arm. An almighty bang shattered the peacefulness of the room as something struck the window, causing Alex to wake from his dreamlike state as he sat up startled. He reached a hand out to his side, checking if Claire were okay and if she was awake, but as his hand patted down, instead of feeling the warm, soft skin of his wife, it fell upon the cold, empty mattress that lay beside him. A confused look graced his face as Claire was nowhere to be seen. Calling her name, Alex stood as he made his way to the window to inspect the noise that had woke him. His hand glided between the curtains as he pulled them back, setting his gaze upon the thunderous downpour that filled the night sky. His eyes scanned the garden as he searched for any inclination of what caused the loud bang, but all that met his eyes were the raindrops pounding the empty, rusted swing set. The curtain fell back into place as Alex let go. He turned to see the bedroom door wide open. The skin around his eyes wrinkled together as he squinted inquisitively as he noticed the red light hovering midair in his doorway, slowly closing in as his eyes adjusted to the darkness. The source of the red light became clear as he saw a camera mounted upon a tripod placed in the hallway filming his room. An uneasy feeling began to creep its way inside of him. "Claire, where are you? What's going—" His hushed sentence cut off by the startling loud bang ricocheting once again from the window. Alex spun around in shock, ripping the curtains back open as he looked back out into the garden. A wave of fear surged through him, as to his surprise the garden was no longer empty. His eyes were met with the sight of a hooded figure, swinging back and forth on the swing set as they stared right back up at him in a white porcelain mask. "Hey!" Alex shouted. "What the fuck is this?" he demanded, with panic breaking through his voice. He ran to his bedside table, yanking the drawer open, pulling out his trusted Beretta 9mm. His grip tightened around the gun as he headed over to the bedroom door, knocking the camera aside as he slowly entered the hallway. His heart pounded as his eyes searched for signs of his family. "Claire, where are you?" he whispered, his eyes like pinballs as they darted in every direction before falling upon his daughter's room. Alex's main priority, the only thing that was on his mind as he made his way over to Sarah's room. The door slowly started to creak open as Sarah peeked out. "Daddy, what's going on? I'm scared," she whispered in a shaky voice. Alex rushed over to her, kneeling down next to her as he pulled her in close, hugging her. "Hey baby, are you okay?" Alex whispered, trying to sound calm. "Look at me. There's nothing to be scared of. Is Mommy in there with you?" Sarah looked up at Alex with sadness in her eyes. "No, I'm not supposed to leave my room. That nasty clown told me to stay in here," she sniffled. The words sent a wave of fear through Alex. What clown?" he choked. "The one that took Mommy," she cried. The color drained from Alex's skin as the gravity of what his daughter just told him made him feel physically sick. The sweat pouring down from his temples as adrenaline surged through his body. He stood up, his breath becoming shallow. "Listen to me, baby. I want you to stay in your room, hide somewhere safe, and don't come out until you hear me, okay? I'll be right back. I'm going to find Mommy," Alex whispered as he kissed Sarah, trying to reassure her that everything was okay. But his eyes told a different story. Sarah nodded as she closed the door. Alex slowly turned, taking a deep breath as he clenched his gun, aiming it in front of him as he made his way to the top of the staircase. His heartbeat accelerated with every step he took as he descended the stairs. A dull light began to emerge as it glowed at the bottom of the stairs. Alex's foot placed itself on the final step as his eyes peered from behind the barrel of the gun, looking for a source of the light. He finally saw it emitted from the front room. The eerie silence of the empty landing was soon broken by the faint sound of static. The closer Alex approached the front room, the clearer the sound became. His shaking hands gripped the gun tight as he crossed the threshold of the front room, the source of the light and the sound revealing itself to him. As his eyes fell upon what lay in front of him, his heart felt like it was in his throat as the fear and disbelief mixed like a lethal cocktail in the pit of his stomach at the sight of an all too familiar, tattered, blood-stained sheet that covered the TV. The light pulsing from underneath the sheet as it concealed what was hidden underneath. As Alex's eyes searched the room for his wife, for an intruder, for anybody, they found only the empty room. As he realized he was alone, they soon fell back to the haunting sheet that lay in front of him. The sound of muffled cries echoed from behind it. Alex released one sweaty palm from the clasp of his gun as he slowly reached out in front of him. His trembling fingers brushed the sheet. The sound of his racing heart pounded like a drum in his ears as he gripped the sheet, battling to steady his rapid breathing, his eyes fixed on the sheet, afraid of what lay behind it. He finally built the courage as he ripped the sheet away, instantly feeling sick at the horrifying sight that lay before him. Tears flooded his eyes. To his dismay, he saw Claire, beaten and gagged, tied to a chair, helpless, hurt, and afraid. Her torso was exposed as 3 metal hooks pierced her skin, burying deep into her stomach on either side of her ribcage, attached to metal chains that hung loose to either side. Claire, Alex fighting to speak as he choked on his wife's name, numb in shock from what he was seeing, willing himself to know where she was. As he watched in horror, 2 figures wearing the same haunting white porcelain masks appeared either side of his wife as she sobbed uncontrollably, trembling in fear. The sound of a deep, haunting voice echoed from the TV.
Welcome to your own personal live stream, Alex. We told you. You dug too deep this time. You wanted to find us, so here we are. And now, you're part of the show. We hope you're ready for this one, as it's gonna be a good one.
As soon as the chilling words left the TV, the figure pressed a button as the metal chains attached to Claire began to tighten. The chains reeled in as they began to pull on Claire's torso, the unbearable pain evident as her muffled screams cried for help, tears seeping from her bloodshot eyes, blood beginning to ooze from her exposed sides. As Alex looked on helplessly in horror, the chains slowed as they met the resistance of Claire's torso, her eyes widening as she screamed in pure agony, her body unable to hold anymore as the chains continued to tighten. The sound of cracking bones echoed through the TV with the haunting sounds of Claire's excruciating screams tormenting Alex, as he watched the sight of his wife's ribcage tearing wide open as her insides poured from her mutilated body, her screams falling silent. Her pleading eyes stared back at Alex as the life drained from them. "No, Claire, no!" Alex screamed as his hands smashed into the TV, not able to comprehend what he'd just witnessed, having lost all sense of his surroundings. It was then he heard movement behind him. The grip tightened on his Beretta as he turned, aiming the gun, as the sight of 2 figures homed in on him. The gun fired. Alex winced in pain as he looked down to see the sight of a metal blade buried deep within his stomach. The figure had been too close. His bullet missed. The haunting eyes of a face smeared in clown makeup stared into Alex's soul as they leaned in, twisting the metal deep. Alex winced in pain, feeling his intestines twist around the sharp metal blade that penetrated his stomach as it rotated back and forth before being ripped out, followed by a sea of blood pouring from the gaping wound. He fell to his knees as the figure stepped back, the other figure immediately pouncing on Alex, pulling his arms behind his back as he wrestled his wrists together with zip ties. the circulation to Alex's hands cut off as the ties dug deep into his wrists, bound and bleeding out. Alex looked up at the two figures standing over him. "Why are you doing this?" Alex forced to the pain.
"Oh, I think deep down you know who we are."
The menacing figure stared down at a broken Alex.
"You see, when you found our dear friend, just like he warned you, you became visible to us. You just can't enter our dark corner of the web and think that we don't see you."
The intruder knelt, holding the blade to Alex's throat.
"Now, you're part of the show, and we've got big plans for you. You haven't seen anything yet. It's only just beginning."
The blade rested across Alex's throat as the haunting clown face looked back at him.
"Get the box,"
the intruder ordered his masked accomplice, who dragged in a chest big enough to fit a human. As Alex's weary eyes looked up, his heart sank as the familiar sight of the chest he saw Lucy held captive in was now in his front room. The lid opened wide as the glistening barbed wire shone in the moonlight. The sobering reality hit him as he knew that he was next. The masked figures grappled Alex, pulling him up. As they threw him into the chest, the razor-edged wire cutting deep into his skin, the haunting clown face stared down at Alex.
"We've got big plans for you, but not before we show you what we have planned for your daughter. Oh, she's part of the show too."
Those sickening words hit Alex harder than any of the pain he felt as he struggled to get free. "No, you motherfucker! No, I'll kill you!" The fighting screams echoed from Alex as he strived to free himself.
"Bring the girl,"
the haunting figure demanded. He stood over the chest, looking down at Alex with no remorse in his eyes.
"Shame her daddy won't stop what's coming. You're in our world now. It's showtime."
The deep voice rang out in the thunderous night as he slammed the lid shut on Alex. "No!" The last embers of light disappeared as the silence fell, and the darkness consumed him. Thank you for listening to this new original. We hope you're enjoying the terrifying content, and I can't tell you how appreciated you all are. If you liked what you heard and you haven't already, please subscribe so we can continue to bring you more terrifying content and grow the world of horror motives along with you all. Let us know in the comments what stories you'd like to hear in the upcoming videos. And until next time, let's keep growing and spreading the fear. Hit that bell, like, comment, and share. And above all, remember, fear lies within.